Well, buddy, it sure is nice to be back in Tabusintac. I'm telling you, we hasn't been here since last summer. You remember we looked up that Billy McCackern fella looking for work?
Yeah, but he already had his crew hired, so he missed out on hiring a couple of good-looking, fine, hard-working fellas like us.
Yes, but you know, it's still great to be invited to one of these fine shindigs. It's like I always says, you can't have a decent party without Chip and Dip.
He was absolutely right there, Chip. You know, you look us around and we come to the place called Tabusintac, and there's signs that says all roads lead home. Well, you know, it just feels like you're home when you hear that, for sure.
Yes, and I see you're making yourself at home. You got yourself another one of them Timmy's cups.
Yes. Do you remember a couple of months ago, everybody was rolling up the rims to win? Well, I was too, and I wasn't winning a thing. So now I looks around, and ain't nobody's rolling up the rim. So I've been trying, but my luck is still no any better.
You know, buddy, I'm sitting here watching you roll that rim up and down, and it's tiring me right out. And I'm telling you why, I'm friggin' exhausted. You know, last year, I only got 4 weeks of hoagie.
You know what? It's that friggin' Harper and his economic action plan. Well, I'm telling you, Mr. Harper, I'm having an allergic reaction to that economic action of yours.
I'm telling you, you know it all started last spring back at the point, the end of fishing season. I tell you, I just hardly had got me rubbers off, and the phone started ringing. Some clown wanted to put me back to work, helping him out around his house so he could get a piece of the home renovation tax credit.
Yes, and you know, you couldn't say no being on the bogey, but it's a good thing we weren't much of carpenters, or else they'd have us back to work 2 weeks at a time.
I know, but you know, we did get a call from that nice Irvin fella. You remember he said, boys, would you like to come to work for the frigate program? And I looks at you, and you looks at me, and we says, frigate? Well, why not? So I shows up, and he looks at me, and he says, I got to ask you a question. Are you a frigate builder? Well, I says, buddy, I built the frigate doghouse. I built the frigate birdhouse. I built the frigate mailbox. I even put the frigate deck on the back of the frigate trailer. What do you think of those for qualifications?
The nerve of that Irving feller looks at us and says, I'm not impressed with those accomplishments at all. So he says, frigate, let's go work at the beach.
Yes. Now, what was the name of that beach that we ended up there anyway, Dipper?
Oh, you remember there. We went to that beach there, the Parlay Beach. They hired us as a couple of lifeguards.
That's right. I guess they figured having growed up around the water, we'd be able to swim like the fishies.
Yeah, but you know, the best thing I like about that job, we get to sit up on those nice, big, tall, white chairs and look out over the beautiful scenery stretched out across the land.
Yes, we would spend hours on those hot days looking out at all those curvy waves.
Yes. But, Chip, now you realize it wasn't all pretty beautiful scenery. Do you remember those Quebecer fellas in their Speedos?
Oh, remember them? It looked like somebody playing dress-up with a bear.
Yeah. Well, that's okay, because that job didn't last too long. No. You thought you was going to be the superhero, running out saving that pretty young lady's mother, flip-flopping out in the water. Well, as soon as you got out there and the water goes up over your waders, you went down faster than Margaret Steinmet's butterscotch pie at a community supper.
Yes, and I'm telling you, at the end of that, we had to jump on that, that conflagration bridge and head off to Prince Edward Island.
Yeah, you know what, Chipper? They no longer call that Prince Edward Island. No, they call that Prince Edward on a stick.
You know, that's a funny one, Dip. That's almost as much fun as we had working over there. Remember we worked for Tourism PEI?
Yes, and now I got thinking. I bet it was them that put that ad in that newspaper, looking for 2 good fellows to show the rich mainlanders around.
Yes, there it was, just as plain as a crab in a pot of lobsters. Wanted paid escorts. Must be intelligent, well-groomed, polite, and discreet. So I calls the lady up that puts the ad in the paper, and she says to me, does you know your way around? I says, lady, does I know my way around? What do you think? I just fell off the point?
So we shows up, we get the first client, we shows up at the hotel, all good and proper.
That's right. We walks in and she looks at the both of us and she says, "Boys, are you ready to go to town?" And I says, "We sure are." And I reaches down and I pulls out a saddle and I pulls out my boots, you know, for the horseback riding to go to town.